I'm going to be taking you on a thorough walkthrough Sonlight K Science, which covers ecosystems, meteorology, physics, and engineering design. Makes it sound really impressive, huh? I am going to be showing you all of the different elements that are a part of the Sonlight K program, how they work together, and I'll walk you through 1 week of the program to help you understand what it looks like in action. So this is the Sonlight Instructor's Guide. Looks like all Sonlight Instructor's Guides. If you get the tabs, then you have tabs for the different weeks. And you can head to any week right away and you get your 1-page spread for the week, your little daily schedule, and you'll be able to see right away that it's not a lot going on for every day of the week. I do have the 5-day schedule. There's also a 4-day schedule. One thing I hear a lot of people being worried about with Sonlight Science is that they don't want to do science 4 days or 5 days a week. They want to bundle it up into maybe 2 or 3 days a week. Looking at it, to me, I feel like it's very, very easy to do that. You can plan on doing Monday and Tuesday together, or Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday together, and then we do experiment day, and we do a little extra on Friday, just a very short reading. You can tell by the amount of pages that we're reading. It's 2 pages a day and some activity sheet questions. Your longest day is definitely going to be the experiment day, and I'll walk you through what an experiment looks like. What else is included in the instructor's guide other than this grid is some discussion questions. So I really like this factor that they don't just have you read the book and then sometimes be left wondering, okay, what were we supposed to learn from that? But there's a little bit of extra commentary. Sometimes there's a further explanation or ideas on how to explain something that's more difficult to a child. There's also usually an optional activity, optional extension activity. That's fun. If your kids are really into science, you can do that. You also have your activity sheet answers, and then the activity sheets can be right here in the guide. So the activity sheets are something consistently used throughout the program. You'll need one for each child if you want each child to complete them independently. If you want to work on them as a team, then you could use one set. But here so I think it shows you here that you're doing about 2 questions a day. So week 6 activity sheet, you're doing this and this. That's what's scheduled for the first day. You have some cutouts, you have some checks. Remember, this is for the kindergarten level. So there is a lot of cutouts, there's a lot of check or match or circle, but you will also see some writing lines. Now do remember, because this is for kindergarten, you should not be expecting your kindergartner to be filling in these lines with sentence answers necessarily. If you have a typical 5 to 6-year-old child, that's not going to be what they are able to handle, but these are designed so that your child can be giving you a verbal answer and you can be scribing the answer down for them, doing it orally. I really like the activity sheets. I think that having something to do with the information they just learned is very helpful for children. These are colorful, they're active, they've got a nice simple variety, they're not overwhelming at all. Especially when you realize the child is not supposed to be filling those out. I think it could be overwhelming if you don't realize that at the beginning, but do keep that in mind, that if you're seeing multiple lines for answers, something that should be answered with a sentence, do remember that's for you to do with your child. And also remember, at the kindergarten level, typically these sheets are not something you're going to just hand to your child and have them complete independently. Most kindergartners aren't going to be reading confidently enough to read these for themselves. You don't do a whole lot of independent work in kindergarten normally, so that's very age appropriate. So that is a glimpse at what week 6 looks like. All right, when we're dealing with Sonlight, we know to expect a stack of books. Now, it is not a gigantic amount of books, especially when you're thinking this is science for 36 weeks of kindergarten. It's really not that much of books. It's fairly light. There's small amounts of reading each week, but it's not just about the reading. You're also doing stuff with what you read. So I feel like the different elements of this are fairly light, but they blend together to make a fairly robust kindergarten science program, and one that I'm looking forward to using. So let's look at what the books are. Bees and Wasps. This is part of this Usborne Beginners Science Reader series. Ants, Weather, Rainforests, And I will say, from looking at the guide, they're typically spending a few weeks on each of these concepts. So reptiles gets a few weeks, maybe 4 weeks. Rainforests got 3 or 4 weeks. Ants got 3 or 4 weeks. So you're spending a couple weeks diving deep into a certain concept and learning science features based off of that concept. From Seed to Plant by Gail Gibbons, The Magic School Bus, Why Do Elephants Need the Sun, from the Wells of Knowledge Science series, Forces Make Things Move, from Let's Read and Find Out Science, Wangari's Trees of Peace. It's a little bit different from some of the other books because this is a picture book focusing on the story of Wangari Maathai and her story from Africa and dealing with trees. I do like that Sonlight they typically include some type of biography related books in their science. National Geographic, Little Kids' First Big Book of Why, as well as DK Find Out Science. So that's your book list. And you will notice there's a lot of basically the typical heavy hitters that you will always hear of when it comes to nonfiction books for kids. I mean, we've got DK, we've got National Geographic. This is a little bit of a different book because it's more of a biography. But then we have Let's Read and Find Out Science. This is another well-known series, Wells of Knowledge, The Magic School Bus. Gail Gibbons is known for her nonfiction, and we've got Usborne. So it's pretty much all the typical nonfiction science picture books that you would think of for small kids. The next element of the program is the Discover and Do Science book. Now this is a pretty hefty book. And I will say, I don't think you would get as much out of this course if you were trying to do it and kind of skip the experiments or skip the experiment book. This book is definitely way more than just science experiment instructions. They go pretty deep into ideas and concepts all around whatever experiment you're doing. So you can kind of see they've got little sidebars for vocabulary words. They've got lots of graphics in here. Then they'll have your project that you're doing. So you're building a model ant, and then they're going to practice with how many legs does the ant need to stand on. Then you have go furthers. You are told what the takeaway for an experiment like this should be. You get similar ideas with a tripod or a chair. So then we go to week 3. So each week has an experiment. That's something to be aware of. And there will be materials in the experiments that are maybe a little bit not common household materials, and that's where the science supply box comes in. You can get a science supply box with every year. They have a lot of random stuff when you open them. This is exactly what it tends to look like, random stuff, but this helps answer the question of, well, where do I get a random little chunk of pipe for this science experiment, or where do I get a ping pong ball? You know, if you just don't happen to have these sorts of things on hand, this is what solves the problem. A giant binder clip, which I am the type of person who does not have random stuff on hand. So I think that this is very handy and helpful. We've got clay in here, aluminum foil. I mean, some things are a little bit more common. We've got some glue dots there. So bunch of random stuff, but it's all things that are required in the experiments. And whenever it's something that's part of your science experiment kit, there's a little K right there in the materials list. Another element that goes along with the science experiments is the paper packet. So some of the science experiments require some type of sheet for recording results of the experiment, for making notes. Basically, we're starting to build the habit of, scientific recording of knowledge. This is a big part of what real scientists do, right? They're not just doing experiments for the fun of saying, wow, wasn't that cool? But they're doing experiments for the point of recording information, observing differences, recording data. So we have these types of sheets that go with the experiments and are essential. I do want to show you. So we were looking at week 6. I'm going to go ahead to week 6 so we can see what that experiment was. Here it is. Why do reptiles lie in the sun? All right, so we have the materials list right here. So we need some piece of paper we need a data chart from that paper packet. We need something from the kindergarten kit from the kit right there, and then we need some household items as well. So the kit does not have every single thing you need, but it has, I would say, the more strange things you would need. Other things that you would need: plastic baggies, cream of tartar, flour, salt. Looks like we're making Play-Doh in this one. So Play-Doh, we're learning why do reptiles lie in the sun. We're making Play-Doh. It looks like we make Play-Doh into the shape of some reptiles. And it looks like the Play-Doh had some pigment in it that changes color that you got from the kit. And then depending on where we put the Play-Doh, you might see a color change. So that's very interesting. Really cool. So we go through here, there's parent tips, if there's any issues going on with your experiment. Then they also include, because this is an experiment that requires some waiting for the temperature changing, there's while you wait activities. So they have warm-blooded or cold-blooded. Read different animal names to your child at random and have them tell you if it's warm-blooded or cold-blooded. So that's a great activity. So this is why I say, like, this book is so much more than just the instructions for experiments. It's very rich. There's a lot in it. You got extra activities. Here's clues for little riddles to guess an animal, or animal charades. And then again, going further activities. So that is all your experiment day, number 6. And there's also just really great pictures in this. And look at that. That's cool. And then we get to week 7. So that's why I say your experiment day is probably going to be, like, definitely going to be your longest day of science. So you can try to purposely plan that wherever it works in your week for you. In the schedule, they have it on Thursdays, but that doesn't mean you have to do your experiments on a Thursday. Sonlight also offers science experiment videos for each week in their course. So there could be experiments where maybe you just want to watch a video, or where you want to watch the video and do the experiment. You have that option. I hope this was a helpful look inside of Sonlight Level K Science, so that you can get a glimpse at how this might look for you, and you can think about whether or not this would work for your family. If you have any questions about it, definitely feel free to leave them in the comments down below. I will be happy to answer if I can. And if you like this video, if you like nerdy curriculum videos, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel for more, because I have lots more where this came from. All right, I'll see you next time, guys. Bye.